Listen now as we decide that our thoughts are images that we have made. This will be concerning a miraculous happening that is occurring as we gather together within our mind training series. Many of you sharing the occasion of this contract that you have in the conversion of your mind have embarked or will now decide to embark on a course in spiritual transformation. It is impossible that anything is happening to you but by accident. We have high hopes that the contract of agreement in the promising you have made has opened a whole new, previously rejected or barely imagined possibility of a direct contact with the eternally creating energy of universal mind. That you have touched the mind of God, which is, after all, only your natural inheritance, and that you are beset with the mysteriously thrilling, inescapable dilemma of a spiritual experience absolutely not of this world or even in this time and place. This new reality has nothing at all to do with the phantom world that surrounds you. Indeed, this is the world that you will and did escape. Don't be afraid that you're going to be abruptly lifted up and hurled into reality. Though for many of you, that is what's about to occur in this series, isn't it? Time is kind, and if you use it on behalf of reality, it will keep gentle pace with you in your transition. Now, the urgency is only to dislodge your mind from its fixed position here. This will not leave you homeless and without a frame of reference. The period of disorientation, which precedes the actual transition, is far shorter than the time it took to fix your mind so firmly on illusion. Let this dislodgement be a positive, inspirational adventure rather than a fearful episode of a loss of self-containment. In this place of chaotic darkness that you call home, reality must appear as a continuing expose. Now, this may be your first major exposure to the energetic catalyst that is a provision for the conversion of your temporal self-existence. These are the great rays or light streams emanating from the minds, joining and extending in a common goal of awakening. Now, reactions to many of the ideas of this mind training will range for many of you from some sort of vicious blind denial to a cunning, meaningless attempt to interpret, to exciting dramatic shifts in self-awareness, and presently, for many, the ultimate time reassociation of self-recognition that is the phenomenal light transfiguration of the body resurrecting as they stand for a moment at heaven's gate. Here we go. Simply ask this, and all is given you. Am I all alone in the universe, reliving again and again the existence of fear and pain and death that is only my personal nightmare of separation? Or am I as God created me, eternally happy, at home in heaven, where I really am and have always been? Here you go. Take heart, dreamer of death. Live each moment with this simple certainty of the whole truth of the matter. You are always only as God created you.
I took a trip on a train, and I thought about you. I passed a shadowy lane and thought about you.
Are you an image that I have made of you and I together?
2 or 3 cars parked under the stars, a winding street. Moon shining down on some little.
What have we learned together?
And with each beat,
That the universe
same old
is
train
thought.
at every stop that we made.
So I need
I thought
the idea that I'm thinking. Are you ready?
but when I put
In our mind training, the one I'm going to think about
I really felt
is you. Does that disturb you?
I peeked through the crack and looked
We're all looking together at the certainty that in the mind training
going back.
that all of this is already over. You just saw a video that's a sure indication that you know perfectly well that you're reliving for this moment an idea that's already gone, aren't you?
And what did I do?
I thought about you.
I thought about
Watch me. Watch me now. Watch me. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about you. Now, the lesson that emanates at the beginning of this sequence is very simply that the images that we're seeing together are thoughts that we're having about each other. The important thing to remember is that they always emanate originally within my mind. And in that sense, I cannot be concerned about the thoughts that you're having. Now, the idea that our thoughts are going to meet somewhere out in space-time is a true statement, isn't it? Huh? Let's take a little look at the idea, shall we, in this what we call the miracle of the conversion that you have finally signed a contract with me. That's how you got here. To the idea that you are going to progress in notations of conversion of mind without regard to how long it may take. All right. In other words, if the images that are out there are only in your own mind, the idea that we can be mindful of a single thought together are why we're here. And our lesson for today, excitingly, by those who have decided to enter into us in this idea that our thoughts are actually simultaneous. That the idea that you're having a thought and I'm having a thought are not actually separate within our own mind, but the combination of the alternative creates another vision of an illusionary idea that's not true. Okay? Listen with me to this idea about the image that you're making in your mind. Remember, your thoughts are images that you have made. It is because the thoughts you think appear as images that you do not recognize them as actually being nothing. You think them, and so you think you see them. This is how your seeing was made, isn't it? This is the function you have given your body's eyes. It's not seeing, it's image making. It takes the place of seeing, replacing vision with illusion. Listen with me. This introductory idea to the process of image making you call seeing will not have much meaning. You'll begin to understand it when you see little edges of light around the same familiar objects which you see now. This is the beginning of real vision, and you may be certain that real vision will come quickly when this has occurred. And I want you to see with me what's actually happening. The brightness that suddenly occurred in the exchange that you and I have are becoming more and more common, aren't they? Actually, what they eliminated is the necessity for you to be conceptual in your observation of me as separate from you. All right? Can you see that? In other words, the image that you hold of yourself is actually the reflection of your light, isn't it? Listen to just a little more. As you go along, you're liable to have a lot of light episodes like the one you just had, and they may take many different forms, some of them quite unexpected. Don't be afraid of them. They're signs that you're opening your eyes at last, and they will not persist because they merely symbolize true perception, and they are not actually related to knowledge at all. And that's the entirety of the idea of what we're going to do today. Now, should we look at the problem that you're having in regard to the thoughts that you're proceeding with me? No, there's no question. I think I'll use you. You came here with an idea that you want to see me differently than you've been seeing. Is this so? Yes. Now, the idea that you can see me differently, all right, have to do with the messages of let's use a song in here. Let's use the idea that I'm going to have a thought about you that's contained within my mind. Shall we do that? Now, here's what occurs. As we reminisce on this, okay?
Though I know that we meet every night, and we couldn't have changed since the last time.
This is one of the favorite ideas that you and I are sharing here.
Kind of love at first sight. Though it's you and it's I all the time.
I'm not taking your ideas away from you. I'm encouraging you to have them.
You're increasingly sweet. So whenever we happen to meet,
here we go.
I greet you
see it?
I behold
These are thoughts
your adorable face,
that I am having
just a song at
about
the
you.
start.
Now, the idea that the reflection that I obtained at that time has now disappeared into a vase of images is true. That's all right.
I'm touching your
I don't care. I know that the thoughts that I'm having,
It tells that you're standing near.
you're standing near me.
At the sound of your voice,
Heaven opened
heaven
its portal to me.
opens its portals to me.
Can I help but
Can I
rejoice
help but rejoice
that a love such as ours
that a song such as ours came to be?
Are you with me? Watch.
But I always knew I would live life through
With a song in my heart. Excuse me.
with a song
Now you can tell I'm new back in this sequence of time.
for you.
Thank you for the expression that the vision of the reflection of light are coming from our individual minds. But in what we're going to accomplish in today's lesson are going to be the thoughts that I'm having are actually joined out in the universe. Now, obviously, it's very difficult for you to join them in your body formulation because you maintain a separate body association, don't you? In other words, the idea that I catch visions of you eliminate the necessity for me to be in the occupancy of my body. Because if I'm in the occupancy of my body in a slow temple of the idea of a reflection of a light, how am I going to get out into the universe? Now, here's the two lessons that are involved in it. You have an idea in your mind that you can have thoughts, okay, you're with me, but that don't mean anything. Now, the certainty that none of your thoughts actually mean anything are the basis of the teaching. What you do in order to avoid a thought that might particularly bother you is attempt to neutralize it in the idea of the thinking that you're doing. Now, the two lessons that are involved in this are the certainty that there's no such thing as a neutral thought. What you do is combine it in your mind with reflections of light. Say, I don't like that guy out there. He's causing me a lot of problems. Now, that thought is in your mind. And now while you neutralize it or pretend it's not affecting you, the simple fact of the matter is that as you gather around me, the idea of the necessity to forgive the acts by which I am defining you as separate from me will let me say that it's impossible to neutralize it. That is, I'm going to get the result of what I'm thinking. Okay? Will you listen with me? Huh? Are you excited by the prospect that you might be able to get a little brighter image of me? Here, I'm going to try it with you. I'm just curious. Now, what you've done is the thought you didn't want to have about me, in your determination that it's hard for you to say this world is over. It's gone. There's absolutely nothing here that's real. Now, because that's difficult for you, you set up images of reflection, and then you neutralize them by pretending that there's a difference between what you're thinking and what that guy's thinking. Okay? Let's look at it together. Oh, my goodness sake. There was nothing neutral about that thought, was it? Were you unhappy with the thought that you had about me? Come on, you have an emotional unhappiness that involves all the terrible things that are happening in the world. Now, the idea that you can change the idea of what's out in the world as you change your mind on why we're together here in this effort. Let's look. Here it is, neutral thoughts. This idea is a beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Why? Everything you see is a result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Now, those that are true reflect the creation of the likeness of you in our association as we escape from the universe. Those that are false make theirs. There is no more self-contradictory concept than that of idle thoughts. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusion. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it. And that's the idea of the next lesson. Here's why. You and I have an agreement, for example, that we're going to set up an image that's a provision for a place that we intend to occupy. Now, you set up your place, I set up my place, and we have an agreement about it. Now, the idea that somebody else out there is neutral and is not sharing us with that is actually not how it works. Those are accumulations of singular ideas that I must have for myself if I want to escape out into the world. All right? That's why the place that you're in is not neutral. Say to me, I've never been here before.
I've never been here.
It's impossible in the sequence that I'm offering you in past and future relationship that I haven't set up a new framework of time where you come in and you may be very surprised for a moment within the power of your own mind that you seem to be in a strange place, that you seem to be in a strange place. Listen with me about this strange place that you're in. I see no neutral things. This idea is another step in the direction of identifying cause and effect as it really operates in the world. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. It's always the thought that comes first. Despite the temptation to believe that it's the other way around, that the object is there when you come in, it's not that way. This is not the way the world thinks, but you must learn that it is the way that you think. If it were not so, the perception you have about yourself would obviously have no cause. In view of its highly variable nature, this is hardly likely. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. Listen, as usual, it's essential to make no distinctions between what you believe to be animate or inanimate, pleasant or unpleasant. Regardless of what you may believe, you do not see anything that is really alive or really joyous. That is because you are unaware as yet of anything that is true and therefore really happy. Here's what we're going to do in the idea that you don't have any neutral thoughts. I want to impress on you that you're having thoughts, all right, and that they're not attempting to be neutral because you're allowing for a penetration of the images that you're making within your own mind in regard to what you see. Here, shall we try it together? Here. No. There it is. That's a different place. Now, will you try something with me? Will you listen to me? Don't be afraid. You catch glimpses of images that are entirely separate from the place that you're apparently in. Come on. That's why you're afraid. Actually, what you do is you hold on to reflections of light that you and I share that obviously are over and gone if what we say is true. If this whole sequence of time is actually over, when you set up an image, you live within that image, don't you? And you have ideas that it's true. Now, well, it's true that you and I share a lot of ideas about ourselves. What's wrong with having an idea about a thought in your own mind as you and I progress in this, that we're not really bound up in this little place with this single little sun, with this one little star, with this little dark image of ourselves, when there's a whole universe out there that we can see? Now, is it possible for us to see it? Look, the idea that you have in your mind are what make it possible. Certainly you have an idea that you're trapped within this sequence of dark form, so that the energy that you're getting is reflecting to you the limitation of your body. Now, if I can show you that the reflection of yourself is not actually connected to your body at all, your progress will be very rapid. Why? The ideas of what are being downloaded for you now say and think very simply that this whole association of reflection as light is over. Now, I'm going to leave you for just a moment. I promise we have a guest coming in, okay? And he's going to sing a particular song to you, all right? You have to be patient with me. See, as a former human being, I am much aware of the dilemma that you experience in the verification of yourself, only to discover to your amazement that the damn thing is over. And you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and finally, I'm going to disrupt you, and you become willing to look at the idea that there may be alternatives, not so much in the reflection of your body, but in the thoughts you're having in your mind. The thoughts you're having in your mind. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows.
They're all thoughts, aren't they?
I believe for everyone who goes astray.
Thank you. We're together, aren't we? I believe. I believe. I have a thought in my mind.
I believe above the storm the smallest prayer will still be heard. Oh, I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf,
We're having thoughts.
or see the sky,
And we're letting them affect us. Yeah.
I believe.
glad you're still with me. All right? Because the idea, let's use a word that they believe. You have a belief system that's intact in you that identifies the manner in which you look at yourself in relationship with what you want. Should we look for a minute about the emotional evaluation you have concerning your body form and why you're afraid of the images that appear to be out there in reflections of yourself, in the experience that you have about the effects that appear to be out there, having been put out there by the world? Now, my certainty that you've progressed to the point where you're not going to maintain the place that you find yourself are the nature of what I'm attempting to do. Is this so? In other words, what I'm trying to show you is the experience that you're having can only be indication objectively of what you're seeing out in the world. Okay? Now, here we go. We're going to come to the important lesson to which we intend to spend the rest of the time on this idea of the reflection of light on. All right? Because it's going to deal with the idea that the whole universe is out there. Say to me, shall we practice, say one word? Say to me, thought.
Thought.
Well, obviously you're in a thought about yourself right now, right? And it's why you have a pertainment in the idea of training your mind to a revision of what you think you are. Let's look together just for a minute. You all right? And I love to teach. Now, should I tell you why I like to teach? You guys look out at this little place of space-time to which we're the whole universe out there, and the light that has now begun to shine on you is showing you that the place that you're in has been altered within your association. You're in a different place than you were in just a moment ago. Now, you maintain that your body identity, what you call 40,000 years, is an idea that you come here, you're here, and you leave. Now, obviously you have come into this place, and obviously you appear to be trapped in the place that you're in, because everywhere you look, you get a reflection either of yourself or of somebody else who somehow is different than you, and you attempt to share the idea. Okay? Let's look at the lesson. Let's look at the lesson. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of what I'm seeing. Here we go. The idea that we're going to cover right now is a step in learning that the thoughts that give rise to what you see are never neutral or unimportant. Here it is. It also emphasizes the idea, say with me, minds are joined. Yeah. There, thank you for that. Minds are joined, which will be given increasing stress later on because of our determination to express the idea that we're not alone. Now, those of you who have managed to remain with us in the objection that you have concerning the manner in which I'm attempting to teach you are at least fundamentally beginning to understand that the objection that you have about you and I having separate experience will always end up in a place, all right, or for that moment at least, if you're going to journey with me out into the universe, we can organize within our mind a different idea about what we want to see. Now, I'm going to try. So I teach for about 12 minutes. I was told in the idea of the mind training, okay, that here, let's do it together. When we walked in here together, we had an idea that what we were sharing was a reflection of light, all right, that organized ourselves within a fabric of space-time, that it did include and could not exclude the idea of thought. Now, the idea, here's the way you do it. You have an idea that somebody else is thinking it, all right? And this is why you're frightened, because the idea that somebody else can think it other than you would be the simple admission that there's not certainty of who you are in the reflection of light. Okay? Now, obviously, you're not alone in experiencing the effects that you and I are sharing. Here's the problem we have. Let me teach. I'm going to do the lesson then, because it's vital in the idea of the new mindfulness you have of yourself. Is it different than it was 1,000 years ago? Sure. Is it different than it was just a moment ago? Of course. What you realize from that other hour that we did, that the whole thing is over. When you get a reflection of it, it increases in frequency to the entirety of a moment of dark form. All right, you call this death. Here you are. You and I will get together. We'll have effects of ourselves, and then we'll lose our body formulation, and you'll be able to lay me down in the grave. Now, come on. You know perfectly well that the guy lying there in that idea of your body is not what you're thinking about him. You may not like him, you may like him. It has nothing at all to do with the idea of your body. And this is the problem you have. Now, here's our lesson. You're not alone in the effects of your mind. Are you ready to try it? Yeah. Now, you can tell me about all the things that are happening. What's our fundamental agreement? They're always over. No matter how much you lay your body down, it always seems that you're wandering out in the universe looking for a solution, and you can't seem to find it in the place that you're in. Let's try it together. Listen. Look with me, the idea that everything that's affecting you is in your own mind. Let's try it. This idea is obviously the reason why your seeing does not affect you alone. You will notice that at times the ideas related to thinking precede those related to perceiving, while at other times the order is reversed. Now, the reason is that the order does not matter. Why is this true? Thinking and its results are actually simultaneous, for cause and effect are never separate. Now, I'm going to teach for about 5 minutes about what you like to do so much in your challenging with me about the separation of your own mind. Now, obviously, when you try to separate your own mind, say you want to subtract yourself from the world, you're sick and tired of it. There's pain, there's death, there's all the things that are going on. You attempt to separate yourself, and you succeed in what we called in the last lesson, having neutral thoughts. But within you, you are much aware that there is something fundamentally wrong with the possibility that out in the universe, there's not another thought that I can have concerning what we call consciousness of your mind. Now, the idea that you have the thought of consciousness of your mind is a provision for the effects that appear to be at you. But what did we just tell you? When you see the object out there, all right, you have forgotten that you put it out there in the previous episode by which you identified yourself, and there's a lot of excitement going on. Why? Finally, and what you say is, well, the damn thing is over anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now, the increase in frequency of the idea of a better reflection of light are the manner in which this provision is being made, because the place that you're finding yourself in now, you suddenly begin to look around and you recognize other people that are showing the love that I'm feeling for you in the idea of the certainty that we're happy with the results that we've been getting. Is that all right? Now, you're carrying all this sickness and pain around with you, and it appears that it's been set up out there by somebody other than you. You listen with me. This world was over a long time ago. The idea of the relationship of cause and effect in the mindfulness of you, we just read you, are actually simultaneous. That is, when I have a thought about you, it's about the universe. I'm going to try it with you. As an illuminate idea who had a death experience of tremendous magnitude in which I was forced to look at the idea that by retaining myself, I just kept having death experiences. I just kept going through other death. Now, you become so accustomed to it that you utilize the love that you feel in the necessity for pain and loneliness. And you call that love. Now, certainly it's love in the idea of the manner in which you formulate thoughts about yourself. But the possibility, this is God, incidentally. You might as well use the term God somewhere. You're going to have to use the idea of a single source of reality, no matter what you attempt to do. Now, the penetration of the energy of light allows you not to retain, although you try to, the idea you might as well let it change. Now, when you came into this session this morning with me, you came with the idea, all right, that it was over and gone. Now, it doesn't seem that way to you, so it's necessary now that you listen to me about the idea that it's only going to be a thought within your own mind. I'm thinking about you. I'll try it again. I'm thinking about you. Now, does that include the place that I'm in? But you don't separate the place that you're in, and you and I begin to agree in a frame of reference that is actually not located in our bodies. Are you hearing me? That's why you got this assignment. You're obviously not a body, and the reflection of the idea that minds are joined, that our minds are joined out in the universe, are the excitement by which you are telling me stories about the success by which you manage to use the power of your mind to journey out in the universe. Are you with me? Here, listen with me. Listen with me. You might as well hear it. We're going to emphasize the fact that minds are joined. What did you say? As a conceptual idea, that the thoughts you're having are actually the thoughts that I'm having? Now, when you keep them separate, and this is the idea of private thoughts that you think you're having. And you love the idea that somebody can have a private thought from you that will benefit you. This is how you get into this dilemma, isn't it? Okay? The idea of your thought. Let's try it together here. Now, the idea that you're not having separate thoughts is rarely wholly welcome at first, since it seems to carry with it an enormous sense of responsibility and may even be regarded as an invasion of your privacy. You guys out there, all these terrible things that are happening, all the joy and love that you're experiencing in your idea, you think that you're thinking them, and you think they are real by reflections of yourself. When you release the idea, okay, that we can journey out into the universe. To say to me, I want to journey out into the universe.
I want to journey out into the universe.
Well, to do it, you're going to have to escape the body or the formulation of the reflection by setting up a new arrangement of yourself. Okay? I keep seeming to changing from one to the other. Should I tell you why? I notice that when you and I begin to communicate with each other, you're finding an agreement in an entirely different place. This is what this actually is about to say. Okay, since our minds are actually joined, you can meet in an entirely different place simply because you're not disconnecting yourself from the single thought of the universe, which is what we actually are. You listen with me. The thoughts that you're having are not excluded. because there's no such thing as a private thought. Despite your initial resistance to this idea, you will yet understand that it must be true if the salvation in the conversion of energy is possible at all. And salvation must be possible because it is the will of God. I'm going to teach with you just for a moment, if you'll let me, in the idea that you are mindful of an alternative and want the alternative that appears to be going on in your mind, despite all of the world's idea that you remain within this sequence of time. I'm going to try it with you, okay? Should we try it together? Now, the fabric of time in which you are recognizing us is obviously and entirely different than the fabric of the time in which I remain separate from you. It's fundamentally the same idea that we can find the peace of God through a moment of the entirety of agreement, since the source of our reality is singular. That's how I know that I love you. Now, if I examine you for a moment and I feel grievance and I feel pain and I feel how the hell did we get into this mess, okay, you and I can look together at the idea, first, that it's over, all right, that it's gone, and second, that the frequency of the place in which we now find ourselves, all right, if we want to escape out of the universe, will be our escape out into the universe, regardless, as we remind you in science, of the place in which we appear to be located. Okay, I'm going to try it with you in the mindfulness of you. When you came into this reference with me, all right, you immediately entered in to a different cycle of the time that you thought you were in. You see that? What it actually is an increase in frequency in the idea out in the universe that you came to a particular place. You were apparently there for a moment and then you left. Now, all I'm really doing, and this is the invention of time, all I'm really doing, if you want to feel this energy, is relieving you of the burden that you may suddenly disappear right while you're looking at me. Now, for many of you, this is very frightening, because if you lose your identity altogether, you'll be gone. Will you be gone? We just had the lesson that said it's gone anyway. The idea that you will entertain with me the possibility of an increase in frequency of idea, of the sound of the idea that you hear within your arrangement, okay, is a very lovely song. Now, there's one more song I'm supposed to play, somehow about that I'm happy that you've been successful at it.
I want to be happy, but I won't be happy till I make you happy too.
Life's really worth living when you are worth giving. You're making me feel pretty good about the possibility that the entrance of the thoughts you're having about yourself are actually the same thoughts that I'm having. You see that? I can't be happy until I make you happy too. Let's change it. Let's try a new one. Listen.
The moon belongs to everyone.
Why?
The best things in life are free. The stars belong to everyone.
They gleam there for you and me. You're getting pretty happy there.
Ours is free.
The sun is they're yours, they're mine. Have you got it? Now, I got one more song I'm going to try to get off here before we leave this sequence. Here we go. Here we go. Tell me why. Can you feel the energy of love that's emanating from this whole idea? What you have to see with me, this is a new sequence that you can enter into simply by not defending yourself from what you're seeing out there. Here we go. Tell me why. I want you to remember with me in this next lesson that you're determined to see. Now, obviously you're determined to see because you've been getting a reflection of yourself. What I am offering you is a new determination that you have to see things differently than you saw them before. Now, it isn't that I don't recognize you. I may not be able to name you, for example, but I know perfectly well that the power of the single decision that we have made to travel out into the universe are already in your mind. And if they're in your mind, they must have been accomplished somewhere within space-time. Okay? Here. There we go. Here. Now, the idea of increasing frequency of thought, and this is why I've got the instruction on this for you, is that you're gathered with me in a conversion of the idea of the space-time in which you find yourself. All right? You're in a brand new place. The dream sequence that had forced you into the idea that you're going to get old and die and rotten in that body have left you entirely, because the reflection you're getting now is a brand new idea about a whole alternative that's yours. Idea of the love that I'm feeling for you with no regard to your concept at all. Huh? You like the idea that God loves you? Say to me, God loves me. No, the idea that God loves you is very simply the certainty that the causation of you is singular. Why would you want to battle it with the idea of an alternative when you attempt to sort out from that, you establish a space-time reference that has no meaning? And that's how you're escaping. And I'll be seeing you in just a moment, because this new idea of yourself are what you're carrying out into the universe, and you're going to begin to meet brand new ideas that are sharing with you the certainty of the love that I'm feeling. In the idea that ideas that leave not their source are the manner in which the source of you, which is singular, okay, is not the source of you in separation. In separation. That's all I know about the deep love that I'm feeling for you in the accomplishment of the mission that we accepted in the contract that we signed, in an agreement for the reward that will be ours, in the increase in frequency of the freedom of joy that we're feeling. The freedom